Good morning, CJ. Good morning, Maria, Jeannie, Jeannie, and CW. And good morning, Greg, and anybody else I missed. Mr. Nobody, MHT, all those faithful people watching, Mike and family. Any newcomers? I know some of the videos that from last week got 100.5 views or something. Don't know where they're all coming from, but happy to have you. Okay, going to continue on with a little bit of international banking gold standard information. And also, today is Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, for those who are keeping track of the date. Let's begin. In nomine Deum, Matronum Nostra, et Emisum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. The whole tendency of the system, then, is to lower the standard of living for a country, since a country with a lower standard of living or low wages will be able to export. Okay, low wages makes it easy to export because countries can buy it cheaper from other countries. It is true that the gold standard keeps the value of money of any country stable in terms of foreign currencies, but this is only another way of saying that it tends to prevent wages in any country from remaining high when wages anywhere else fall. And it never made any sense to me how, we could make so many dollars per hour here, and let's say over in China, where everything is being exported out of nowadays, they're only making, pennies on the hour for their labor. Didn't make sense to me. How could that be right? And then as I got older and I learned about all of this money manipulation, it made sense. The net result is a dreadful struggle for the necessaries of life in the midst of potential sufficiency, that's right. The struggle being made far more tragic by gambling in the different currencies and speculation on the stock exchanges of the world. A striking example of gambling in currencies is given by Mr. Arthur Kitson in his book, The Banker's Conspiracy. He writes, quote, "Some years ago, the Banker's magazine gave a startling example of the depreciation in the prices of 325 of our representative investments caused by the withdrawal of 11 million pounds in gold from the Bank of England by a group of American financiers. The transfer of this amount caused a fall of prices equivalent to 115 million pounds. The absorption of the same gold caused a corresponding advance in the prices of certain American securities. By first selling English securities and then buying American, they had merely to transfer so much gold and afterwards reverse the transactions by buying and selling respectively, and the game was won." So this I didn't realize. I knew they traded in international currencies. I didn't realize that that's how they manipulate and control the Forex markets. That's why everybody who trades in the Forex markets as a little player ultimately loses. As a well-known financial writer stated at the time, these speculators were playing upon two tables at the same time, one in London and the other in New York, with the certainty of winning on both. It's rigged, and it's a club, and you ain't in it, as George Carlin would say. Not that he's any example of goodness. Let us now examine a little more profoundly the reason for the urge to export goods which every country experiences, in spite of the fact that many undernourished and ill-clad people in almost every country lack the very goods that are being exported, or the goods into which they could be converted. The quote here, "Plenty of wool and no markets," announced a Dublin daily paper some time ago. "Plenty of poor and no blankets," was the very opposite comment of the humorous journal Dublin Opinion. Ain't that the truth? The ultimate reason for the urge to export is to be found in the fact that 98% of all the money in existence comes into being with a demand for interest at 5% attached to it. We have already seen that in 1934, bank-created money in Great Britain was over 98%, while state-created money was less than 2%. Now, no more money can come out of the system than is put into it. If a certain proportion of businesses manage to pay back both principal and interest of their loans, the possibility or actuality of bankruptcy is automatically intensified for the whole of the remainder. So the process means steady progression into debt for society as a whole, because they have to borrow money. It necessarily means also that in every business cycle, you've heard that term before, business cycle, they've made it sound like it's just a normal part of society, when in a Catholic controlled monetary system and society, that you wouldn't have these. A certain amount of the goods, so in every business cycle, a certain amount of the goods produced in that cycle remains unpurchased. This unpurchased surplus is increased by the fact that certain individuals in the society save up and reinvest their savings. Thus, as industry develops, thanks to more and more loans, there is an ever-increasing surplus remaining unpurchased within the area of the society. And there is an ever-increasing demand for foreign markets. Trying to skip through here. Debts, however, increase much faster than production, and production increases far more rapidly than distribution. So the urge to send goods abroad is accompanied by a proportionately increasing inability on the part of the inhabitants of the home country to profit by the developing production. The inevitable result of a financial system based on usury, writes Jeffrey Mark. And this result is the progressive accumulation of debt and a complementary decrease in the ratio between consumption and production. For example, between 1922 and 1929, and you've heard of the stock market crash of 29, between 1922 and 29, for instance, debt claims in the United States increased 76%. Against an increase in manufactured output of only 33%, and the distribution of consumer goods only 4%. The standard of living was raised, but not at a rate commensurate with the increase in production. Okay, you get that? The standard of living was raised, but not at a rate commensurate with the increase in production. So when people today don't realize that, yes, you get a pay raise, but it isn't anywhere near or commensurate with the increase in production that we've accomplished. Accordingly, the inevitable condition of foreign trade under the gold standard system is that every industrially developed nation must strive to export more than it imports. If some nations have favorable balances of payment, other nations must have unfavorable ones. The international trade has therefore degenerated into financial war. Bingo. Instead of being an exchange of goods and services to the mutual advantage of both parties. Again, Catholic society, Catholic monarchy, okay, it eliminates that. So it's not a war. Really quick, I know you guys are getting tired of me talking about parasites, but it helps people to understand how they operate when we understand what it does to us, or vice versa, how they operate it and how it affects us. When we start to attack, to to try to kill the parasites within our body, they get what I call POW, and it's peed off worms. They get upset. They're angry. They know they're being attacked, where before they were just sitting in their cozy little food chamber. Now, when they start doing that, they'll excrete chemicals that create depending on the volume of parasite infection that you have, they can create hallucinations. They can create cravings, especially for the lower elements of the world. They create desires, lower desires, because of a chemical in our body is what will give us these feelings and desires. So they manipulate us. Okay, they'll make you crave the things that they want, not that are good for you, and binges and all sorts of things. So then when they notice that they're being attacked, they'll do that, and they'll also change their mating timetable or their reproductive timetable. So they'll move from let's just say a full moon to a new moon. And if then they feel like they're under attack in the new moon, then they'll move to a quarter moon. And again, it's on either side of these moons, and this is when they cause inner stress inside the body. And again, like doctors will talk about parasites in a way that they were taught, which are the microscopic ones. We're not talking about microscopic ones. We're talking about the helminth kind, HELMINTH. Those are the large ones. Those are visible ones to the naked eye. And as you start to kill them off, they'll start to get passed out of your system through your excretions. And then again, like I said, they'll get upset. So it's a long process because they reproduce so frequently and so voluminously. Enough of that. Let's get to Mass and thank God for the sacrifice. Let us place ourselves in the presence of God and in Catholic contemplation humbly adore the Trinitarian Theophany. Most holy and adorable Trinity, one God and three divine beings, I believe that thou art here present. I adore thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. Oh my God, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank God for the many graces that we receive and offer our sufferings up to the Trinitarian Theophany and the souls in purgatory. O my God, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O God, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of God the graces which are necessary to us. O my God, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. And I may not thy grace, O God, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O God, Our Lady, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O my God, I'm heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. Most of all, because I have offended thee, my God, who are good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. And don't forget, everyone, to do a self-reflection, self-examination of your conscience and your acts. Write them on a piece of paper, fold it up, say a sincere act of contrition that you're truly sorry for having committed the sins, and that you have intentions to not do it again, or that you will improve. And then contact me and via email. Seems to work fine. And then when I know that you have that ready and that you're sincere, then I can give the sacrament of confession and absolution. Talk too much. Deum vobiscum, quoque apote. Oremus. O God, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum hanc maculatum hostiam, quam ego indinus famulus tuus offenditibi Deum meum vivum et verum, pro numeribus peccatis et offensionibus et negligencies meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus, sed pro omnibus fidelibus catalocorum vivis aquae defunctis ut mihi edilis proficiat salutem. Deum qui humani substantia dignitatem mirabilita condidisiet mirabilis reformatio da nobis perihus aqua divinum mysterium eis divinitatis esse consortis qui divinitatis nostrae, fieri dinantis est particips Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum vivet et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem, saectatis tuam da peccantis clementiam, ut in conspecto divini majestatis tuae pro nostra totius mundi salute cum odori suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipio amarate Deum Iesum Christum, et sequiet sacrificium nostrum ec spiritu tuo hodie, ut placia tibi Deum matronam nostre et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Beni Sanctificator. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum et benedicite blata prosequendo, et accepere hoc sacrificium tuo sanctum nomini preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas Sancta Oblationem cum tibi efferimus amor passiones resurrectionis et ascensiones Deum Iesum Christum, et in honoram Deum matronam nostre et Papa Peter Sanctorum et Historum et omnem Sanctorum, ut ilis proficiat ad honorem, nobis autem ad salutem, et ili pro nobis intercedere dignentor in celis, quorum amore magimus in tedis per innum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate ut meam ac vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiera per Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipia Deum Iesum Christum, sacrificium Dei manibus tui, sed laudam et gloriam nominis sui ad utilitatem quoque nostram totiusque, ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, sursum corda, habemus ad Deum, gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Egito clementes in me, Mater et Pater, Deum Matram nostre, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Per Deum Iesum Christum filium tuum Deum nostre, sicutis agamus ac petimus. Ut dicete pese benedicas ex sanctam sacrificium illibata. In primis quae tibi efferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam quam pacificare, custodiri adunare, et regere in edis tot orbiterarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum famulum tuorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We pray for Neil and Earl Lively, Maria Josephina Mose, Henry and Benedict Santa Croce, Brittany and Alex Santa Croce Tafur, Mr. Nobody, Zenaida Luis Naparo Cantu, Julian Galavis, Luis Antonio Cantu, Jenna and Lena, Lori, Aaron, and family. Pray for Rebecca and James Santa Croce. Pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sedevacantist Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion or transgenderism of any kind, anywhere, any place, or any time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, medium of exchange, human value, and a stable defense through the Trinitarian Guard. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society. We ask for the conversion of all sinners trapped in a state of mortal sin, especially for the ignorant. We pray for wisdom on how to grow vegetables and foods and raise animals on small farms with natural techniques. We pray for the elimination of all harmful radiation waves in our air and in our homes, to permanently keep CERN closed, to shut down all portals, destroy all equipment, and close all gateways. We ask for successful and hasty court resolutions for the Keller and Kendrick families. All these things we ask in accordance with God's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fidis cognita est et orto devotio, pro quibus tibi efferimus verque tibi efferunt hoc sacrificium laudis pro se suisque omnibus, pro redemptione anomarum, suarum pro spe salutis et calamitatis suae, tibi credum falta sua eterna Deum vivo et vero. Communicantes et memorverantes, in primis glorios et semper Deum matronam nostre et Deum Iesum Christum. Et beatorum maternum torum Papa Sancta Petri, et Sancta Lucia, et Sancta Jacinta, et Sancta Francisco, et Sancta Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum quorum meritis precibus, quae concedes ut omnibus protectionis tuae monoam auxilio, Filium Christum Deum nostrum, quam oblatione de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus consecratem acceptabilem efficere digniris, ut nobis corpum et sanguinem fiat edictissimi Filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pateretur recepet panem in sancta sacramentis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum ad Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecrave dedique lumini sui dicens recipite et mandacate ex hoc omnis. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simili modo postquam ceremonia est, accipiens et hunc preclarum calicem in sancta sacramentis manus suas, idem tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecravit de quellum sudicenzo cipite et vivite exeo omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis appondetur in remissionem peccatorum, equot est sufficientis mei morfacietis. Unde et memores Deum nostro virtuis, sed plebs tua sancta justum Christum filium tuum Deum nostre, tam beati passiones, nec non et ebent fedis rejectionis, sed et in celus gloriosi ascensionis aferimus preclare maestati tui de tuis donis actatis, supra quae papezza axare novutur respicieri digneris. Supplicis teragamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, hibe haec feripe manus tuum, ut executatis participationes sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem subsendendus omni benedictione celesti, et gratia repe amor per in Christum Deum nostre. We pray for those who have died. We especially pray for Margaret Bentz, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibunt in Christum, quiescentibum locum refugeri lucis et patis, ut ad gesta proclamar per in Christum Deum nostrum, per quem hec omnia Deum Iesum Christum sint ad bono creas, sanctificas, vivificas, benedictis et precious nobis, per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matrum omnipotente in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea, Matronam nostre, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum, sanctum tuum in mulieribus. Dea Matronam nostre, Matronam Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quae sumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis praeteritis presentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata gloriosa semper Dea Matronam nostre, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis te propitiis pacem in Deibus nostris, ut ope misericordiae tui aduiti et peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Per iendum Deum nostrum Iesum Christum Filium tuum Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivet et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te. Ecce extio consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat accipientibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum Matronam nostrae, cooperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuum unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacrosanctum corpus et sanguinem tuum a onibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me tuis in inhalare mandatis, et atenum quam separari permittas, qui cum eodem Deum Matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, vivis et regnam aeternam. Preceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego in inus sumere presum anonimi proveniet in judicium et condemnationem, sed pro tua pietate prosit mihi tutum et metis corporis, et ad me Deum percipiam qui vivis et reinas, cum Deum Matronam nostre in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem celestem accipiem et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum Matronam nostre non sunt dignus, ut in Jesu Deum et in tantum robis Amen. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignius, ut in Jesu te meis in tantum verbis sanctorum mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignius, ut in Jesu te meis in tantum verbis sanctorum mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid retribuam Deum Iesum Christum promendibus quadratur mihi, cadicem saectaris ecibiem in nomine Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostra et ab inimicis meis salvus ero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Quod ore sumus Deum Iesum Christum piedemente capiamus et timore et poi fit nobis remedium sempiternam. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum, quod sanguis quam petave helvis scelibus plei se presta, ut in me non reminiat scella macula quam purat sancta refectione sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apote. Oremus. O my Deum Iesum Christum, please pardon my sins and save me from the fires of hell. Please deliver all souls from purgatory, especially those in most need. And may the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O God, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apote, ite mise est, Deum gratia. Placia tibi sancta Trinitam obsequum sevetutis mea praesu ut sacrificium coroculis tui maestatis in unus obduritivis et tratatare mihique et omnibus, proquibus ilut obdolis et miserante publicabile et cursum Deum nostrum. Benedicat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, gratias. O my God, I believe, I adore, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not adore, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinitarian Theophany, I adore thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of God Jesus Christ, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and immaculate heart of God our Lady, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum Matronum Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. Another reminder, if you would like, especially for those who have commented here, I know them all now, and if you would like to send me a Pix, I can fill it for you and return it to you so that you may receive communion whenever you like, but preferably during Mass on Sundays. This way it'll make it last longer. Thank you for coming. We'll see you tomorrow at 7:30, same time, Eastern time. And all the best to you. And please go and sanctify all those who you meet today and share this information, and especially the website. And pray for my daughter, please, in Florida, who is she's on fire. She's very very much alive with the Catholic faith and the Trinitarian Theophany, which came as a complete surprise, but I'm not surprised. So thank you, and take care. See you tomorrow.